Alright, so this will be a fun video because Persona is actually the first ever traditional Japanese role-playing game that I've ever really played apart from Pokemon. And so when it comes to JRPGs, I kind of missed out on them, and kind of what I mentioned in all of these videos that I do is I miss out on a lot of games as a kid. I only stuck with three main games as a kid, and that was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Call of Duty, which means obviously I missed out on a lot of stuff. Again, especially JRPGs. And so when you talk about JRPGs, one of the consoles that come to mind is this bad boy right here, the PlayStation Vita. And I do love it for what it is, and some would say I wasn't missing much if I missed out on this console, but there is one game on here that must not be overlooked, and that's Persona 4 Golden. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Play Your Way, where we like to talk about the way we play and more. I'm Brian, and as you see from the title here, Persona 4 Golden was actually the very first Persona game that I actually played. Many people have actually played Persona 5 first when it comes to newcomers to the Persona series. Thankfully, I was not one of them, in the sense that I kind of chose Persona 4 Golden first, and then I moved on to Persona 5 Royal, and I was kind of glad I did. Playing Persona 4 first really allowed me to appreciate Persona 5 Royal even more when I did play it. But like I say in all of my first time playing videos, I don't want this to become a Persona 4 Golden review. I don't want this to become a Persona 5 Royal review. I kind of want this video to be more of my discoveries of playing Persona for the first time. So let's talk about this game. So one of the things that probably come to mind when it comes to Persona for really anyone, and I know especially me, was the music, the soundtrack. I remember booting that game up on the PlayStation Vita, the TV comes up, and the opening intro movie starts playing with the animation, and I am blown away. That was an amazing experience, and oh my goodness, that soundtrack there is phenomenal, and I do from time to time go back and listen to that. And one of the key differences for me with the games that I played is when it comes to soundtracks, there usually is never any lyrics. Let's be honest, you've got Pokemon, you've got Yu-Gi-Oh, Call of Duty. Again, if we're only looking at the three games that I really invested the most amount of time in, the soundtracks are there, some like them, but when it comes to lyrics and production, it's nowhere near the level of Persona. So this was eye-opening to me, and as a music guy, I was blown away, and I absolutely loved the music that was playing. And now with that opening intro within the animation and knowing it's a JRPG and kind of these anime characters, I was like, is this what video game animes are? Is this what what this is like? And so it was just brand new and fresh, and man, from the moment that intro movie popped on, I was hooked. And now number two, going right along with the music, is actually the visuals, and that was another thing that kind of popped into my mind as the opening intro movie kind of came on. It was like, whoa, these visuals are phenomenal. One of the things that I love about the Persona series is that they do a very great job of blending colors that pop with a kind of dark foundation, because these tend to be darker games. And man, as someone who's a visuals kind of guy who loves cover art and really loves colors in games, I absolutely love Persona. I mean, the same could be said for Persona 4, same could be said even for Persona 5 with the red theme, Persona 4 with the yellow theme, and though I have not played Persona 3, knowing that it has kind of like a blue theme, which is also kind of something that I actually really do love when it comes to marketing of these games. What will Persona 6 color, will they deviate from that when it comes to Persona 6? I don't know, but colors that are popping, as well as kind of this dark foundation and kind of the mesh of the two, I think could also kind of be some symbolism there as well. But the visuals, oh my goodness, it had me hooked. Now number three, this one is a bit of a con for me. I had a hard time kind of getting used to this, and that was the very long tutorial and kind of the slow start of Persona. Now, I'm keeping in mind that this is not Pokemon, this is not Call of Duty where you're running and gunning. This is completely different, obviously, but as a newcomer, I don't know if I was ready for that. I don't know if I was expecting that. So when it comes to kind of the 2 to 4 hour tutorial that you kind of go through of getting to know the characters, the layout, the gameplay, the story. It was a slow start, and I'll be honest, I kind of dropped the game for a little bit. It took me a while to kind of come back to Persona 4 Golden, knowing that I was like, what's going on here? Like, we're still in the tutorial phase. We're still kind of got this slow start here. When are we able to just go and do? And you get there, but you have to patiently get there, and that was one of the things I had to adapt to. And I've kind of learned to appreciate that by when I start up a new Persona game, I know what to expect. And hey, this is a time to just take your time and get to know the story a little bit, from the start. Get to know those characters, get to know your layout, the setting, and it can really prove to be a great thing. So going along with that, number 4, the length of Persona games. Oh my goodness. Again, I've already said this enough. So let's compare it to Pokemon. Pokemon is only about a 30-hour game, on average. And yeah, you can flesh it out a little bit more around the 45, 50-hour range if you really wanted to, and even more if you wanted to as well. But that was the longest game I ever played, was Pokemon. 30-hour game. And so you take something like a Persona 4 Golden, even something like a Persona 5 Royal, where it's 120 hours it took me to beat, or P4G, where it took me about 70 hours. That was rough for me, I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of rough for me because I do like shorter games. I love the sweet 5 to 15, maybe 20-hour games, which I know is short for some, and I know you're not gonna get that from JRPGs. But it might be a hot take, but I genuinely think you could probably cut down a lot from the Persona series and still get a very tight-knit, concise, and very impactful game when it comes to these games. And now that's not a problem for many, right? There's probably tons of people that are wanting Persona games to be 300 hours, 500 hours. I get that, but I think at the end of the day too, when it comes to the Persona series, when I've played them, I could easily see them still being a 50-hour game and still kind of being really impactful. Now, I get why there's elements in there that, kind of make for it to be a longer game, and a lot of those elements are needed to really flesh out the story, to get to know the characters, highs and lows. Like, I get that. Overall, though, the length obviously didn't stop me, because I did put 120 hours in Persona 5 Royal, as well as 70 hours into Persona 4 Golden, and, Persona 3 Fez is going to be my next Persona game that I play, and I know that's probably about an 80-hour game, and, I'm up for it. I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for the patience that, kind of goes along with that, and I'm here to enjoy every ride through those games because they really are phenomenal. Which brings me to the next point. Number 5, a captivating story and character attachment. My goodness, I mean, when you think of a Persona game, yeah, I mean, the soundtracks are phenomenal, yeah, that's gonna come to mind, but let's be honest, it's about the story and it's about the characters. And I'm gonna say this with every point I make, I've never really played a game to where I got to know the characters well. This was my first ever game where I got attached to the characters. I got to understand and learn their personalities as they grew throughout the game. And even when it comes to the story, I've never really, had a deep storyline in the games that I played. So kind of taking this game here and kind of learning about, this intense and deep, complex, philosophical storyline, it was different, and I was for it. I kind of love games that kind of mimic life in certain aspects, and I think there was a lot of symbolism here that can really be applied to life. And hey, that really elevated my knowledge of what a game could be, and I was all for it. And that brings me to my 6th point here, and that is the mature rated game. Like I said already, I'm going to bring this up every single point, but take Pokemon for example. It is not mature rated in the sense of vocabulary, in the sense of story, in the sense of themes that kind of flow throughout. I think maybe the darkest game I ever played was Yu-Gi-Oh! And though there is dark themes in that, and I will say can get dark, it's still a kid game. It's made for kids, and so you're not going to hear the vocabulary that you're actually going to hear in Persona, and I'll admit that was new to me. But I kind of grew to appreciate everything about Persona when it comes to this kind of darker tone and mature rated content, story, and all of the above, really. I kind of adapted to it, and it really elevated again my perspective of what a game could be, and there was a lot of symbolism there that could really be applied to life as well. And that was one of the first times I was able to kind of ponder and those one-liners characters would say, or kind of, reactions to certain things and what they would say, and be like, huh, yeah, I think that could be applied to my life or in this season of life or the next or whatever the case is. It was really cool to kind of get those points and perspectives to kind of elevate my perspective with a game like this. All right, number 7, this one I will admit I'm not the biggest fan of, and that is multiple endings. And I'll admit it, I played through a solid 50, 60 hours of the game, and all of a sudden I beat the game, knowing that I probably had more to go. It just abruptly ended, and I was like, oh, I beat the game. Wait, I beat the game? This isn't making sense. And so I'll be honest, I had to backtrack. I kind of got scared. I was like, did that ruin the game for me? Do I have to play those 60 hours again to kind of make the right choice to get the true ending? And I'll be honest, again, I don't like that they do this. You've got a bad ending, you've got a true ending, you've got a good ending, you've got an okay ending. Like, you lost me already. And though it's fun to kind of afterwards go on YouTube or whatever the case is and kind of watch these endings play out depending on, different circumstances. But when I'm just playing the game and just, still figuring things out and not really knowing that I have to answer a certain way or do a certain thing or else I'm going to miss out on stuff, it was kind of a bummer. I'll admit, it was kind of a bummer. I kind of wish games would not do this, because I'll be honest, it kind of forces me to be right beside a walkthrough to make sure, okay, all right, this scenario, let me make sure I hit this answer to this question so that I can progress along with the true ending, and that just kind of muddies the waters for me. So I did not like that. I'll be honest, I did not like that. Thankfully, though, you are able to kind of recover and redeem yourself if you do choose, the wrong answer and kind of get the abrupt ending. And so I kind of went back, a little while later, because I was kind of bummed out by it and I didn't know what to do. I did a little bit of research and I went back to it, did what I needed to do when it comes to Persona 4 Golden, and I got the true ending. And yeah, it was worth it to go back, but I wish I didn't have to go back. So I'll just leave it there. And lastly, number 8. Persona is the first game ever, and honestly, not even Pokemon, not even Yu-Gi-Oh, not even Call of Duty, none of these things. This story-based game, this long game, right? This solid 80 hours that I put into Persona 4 Golden, because that was my first ever Persona game. I beat it. Time went on, and I thought about it, and Persona would come to my Twitter timeline. And I would see videos on it, and I would play other games. Time would pass. And as time passed, I had this pull, I had this urge to go back and play Persona. I start playing Persona 5 Royal. I'm like, okay, maybe this will give me that feeling, and loved Persona 5 Royal, loved it. But it didn't hit the highs that I had when it comes to remembering the experience that I had with Persona 4 Golden. And I'll be honest, Persona 4 Golden specifically is the first ever game that I want to go back and play again. And if you know me, I don't play games more than once. I rarely watch movies more than once, TV shows more than once, read books more than once. I don't do it. And especially with games, especially 80-hour games, I don't do it. But I have this urge to play Persona 4 again. And so what I really am going to do is, my desire is to go back and play Persona 4 again. But not the Golden version. I do want to play the PlayStation 2 version, just the base game, and kind of just get that feeling again. Man, it really does, bring up a feeling. And not this emotional feeling that I'm going to go cry, but more so a feeling of, man, I enjoyed that season where I put in 80 hours with Persona 4. I enjoyed that time. The soundtrack, yep, takes me back to it. Those characters, love it. And so it's one of those first ever experiences to where it really does put a smile on my face when I think back to that game. And so I'll end it there. Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5, Persona in general, fantastic series. It gets my thumbs up, absolutely. And man, can't wait to go back to it. If you enjoyed this video and like what you saw, be sure to like this video, subscribe to actually keep up with what we're doing next and hear more about the games that I'll be playing for the first time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.